Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to welcome you today to our panel session today called Building Disability Confident Workplaces, Insights and Strategies from Small to Medium-Sized Enterprise Leaders. My name is Maureen Hahn. I am the President and CEO at the Canadian Council on Rehabilitation Work, CCRW. I welcome everybody here. I would like you, I'd love to, I'm going to turn the panel over to Megan for appropriate moderation of the panel today. But I would like to let everyone know that you can check out the bios of everybody on this panel at the online at the DWC conference website. We do that just to save a little bit of time. There will be a live Q&A at the end of the presentation. And so to ask a question during the live Q&A, you type your question in the Q&A box or the chat, whichever is easier for you. Both will be monitored. You may also raise your hand in Zoom, although I think we are, that is only for accessibility purposes if you are unable to put a note in the chat. We also have French, English interpretation. We have captioning and we have ASL interpretation on the screen. So I would ask everybody to sit back, enjoy, and Megan, I will put the floor over to you. Thank you so much for being here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Maureen. I am delighted to be here with all of you today to moderate this fantastic panel. I believe this is my 7th year being part of DWC in a variety of roles, so it's been a privilege and an honor to be a part of it for so long. As Maureen noted, my name is Megan Kelly, and I'm the Vice President of ANOVA. ANOVA is CCRW's social purpose business, and we really focus on accessibility consulting and innovative solutions that help businesses create inclusive and adaptable and engaging workplaces through a variety of advanced methodologies and measurable and sustainable outcomes. So during today's discussion, you're going to hear stories of building inclusive environments and genuine benefits, and the panelists have seen the results. So together, we will all discover some practical strategies to integrate these best practices into our organizations that will also align with the Pan-Canadian strategy on disability inclusion. And without further ado, I am joined by 3 wonderful folks. Together, I think we span from coast to coast of Canada. I am joining you from Newfoundland today. And I also have Paul Leckie, Director of Talent Acquisition at University Pension Plans, who's Ontario-based, Vanessa Wadesky with Low Entropy Foundations in British Columbia, and we have Tim Holmes, Owner and Operations Manager of Faith's Forever Pet Needs and Resort, just outside of St. John, New Brunswick. So without further ado, we're going to just dive into this conversation, and we're going to start the panel questions. Paul, I'm going to start with you. Can you share a specific initiative that UP has implemented to promote disability confidence in the workplace?
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for having me at this wonderful event here. I mean, it's really difficult to pick one specific initiative. And I think in order to have initiatives, you need to have really strong executive leadership, an executive leadership that understands and sees the value of having these initiatives rolled out into the fabric of the organization. And so when we look at it from a talent acquisition lens, accommodation statements are really important, and asking questions at multiple phases of the recruitment and the selection process. When somebody is hired, it's also important to continue to ask our employees Do they feel like they're in an environment that that is inclusive? We have moved from one building to another, so the space has changed, and it's important that we ask them. We actually developed a program called Ask and Act, just to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our employees, and at the same time, like we're a young organization, so we're going through this journey as a whole. We're 3.5 years old, and so we don't have all the answers to which initiative should we do next, which ones are working. Sometimes we have good intentions, but maybe we miss the mark, and we fine tune those, and that's really important. Another just kind of quick initiative is we do ask candidates to self-disclose. We're big advocates of ensuring that that we collect information to understand, are we creating processes and practices that welcome people to UPP through that application process. And I really always encourage people to share. We want to create a safe environment to share that. And then when people do join us, we do ask them to share that. There have been some instances where people have asked for accommodation without sharing it on the front end, and that's okay too. And we can meet those needs in a lot of instances. So I really see this like it's truly a system of activities. I don't think there's a magic solution. There's no magic bullet solution um, to just one initiative really working it, it can't just be one thing that shows that we're confident in the workplace that we've met those needs. We need all those things working together, and at UPP, I'm extremely proud that we've been able to do that. We recognize that, but like I said, we're still very much learning. So that's a couple initiatives, but I think that kind of touched upon maybe quite a bit
That's
there.
great. Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you so much, Paul. And I think, some of the core of what you've communicated of those initiatives are, communication and, creating those relationships of trust as part of that journey. So thank you for sharing that. Vanessa, over to you. Vanessa with Low Entropy Foundation. What inspired Low Entropy Foundation to focus on disability inclusion?
Yeah, thanks, Megan, and thank you for having me as part of this event. What inspired us to focus on disability inclusion? I don't think we specifically set out and said, we're going to focus on this. It just naturally, organically happened as a result of our vision and our mission within the organization. So our vision, big picture, is that we want to create a kinder, caring, more compassionate world. Right? So low entropy in the name. Entropy means the measurement of chaos and disorder. And we're looking to reduce the chaos and disorder within our social system. So that means creating a compassionate humanity where we work together and we support each other. And with that comes inclusivity. It means that we have to welcome and include everybody. Everyone's voice is important. Everyone has a role to play. We all connect and are like puzzle pieces to the whole. So we honor and we respect that. And as a natural byproduct, we consequently end up working with everyone from all different walks of life. And that includes people from marginalized communities, people with disabilities, women, youth, children, seniors. We work with everybody and we care about them, we support them, and ultimately we create a safe space for them to feel welcome, seen, and acknowledged.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Vanessa. And, creating those spaces that are inclusive and welcoming allows you to also have that intersectional connections that you noted for others. So thank you so much for sharing that. Bringing it back. Oh, go
Megan,
ahead.
sorry for interrupting. I'm just wondering if maybe Paul and Tim, you could come on the panel, put your cameras on, just make
everybody is
muted. Yeah, and then we feel like a real panel. That would be great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Maureen. So we'll bring it back to the East Coast now, and I'm going to chat to Tim Holmes, owner and operations manager of Faith's Forever Pet Needs and Resort, over in just outside of St. John, New Brunswick. Tim, what steps have you taken to ensure your workplace is accessible and inclusive for employees with disabilities?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Megan, for inviting me here. It's great to be part of the panel, and hopefully I can bring some value here to most folks, everybody, if that's the case. Hopefully, I'll just start with my wife and I are the owners of the business, and we are employers with disabilities. So just to take it back, we opened up the business back in February of 2023. Leading up to the business of having a doggy daycare and a pet store, and we'll say May of 2021, we lost our oldest daughter to a car accident. She was 32 years old, a mother of three. And 2 months later, our youngest child, who was 25 at the time, our son, he was in a tragic car accident. And so we lost two of our four children in the span of 2 months. I happened to go up and witness the accident where my son was involved, and they had me ID his body. So I have PTSD from that, and so that, if you will, that's my disability. But opening up the businesses was an honor and memory of our two children that passed, and we wanted a way to give back to the community, inspire and spread love, and we wanted to do it through animals. Where two of both children that passed were dog lovers, and so are we. So that's how the business came about. And from day one, we wanted to make sure that we had inclusion. My wife's background prior to opening up the businesses was in diversity, equity, and inclusion. So right at the beginning, we asked all the employees that had disabilities and those that did not, for input on the initial design, with a focus on safety and health as a priority, not only for the employees, but also for our dogs in the doggy daycare. So the initial planning phase, we made sure that, the emergency preparation was all there. We made sure that there was good flow from the entrance to the exit. The washroom locations had to be centrally located, and also we had made sure that they were general neutral for washrooms. And everything was wheelchair accessible from our store to our daycare, including the washrooms themselves, if you will. Or we have dogs present throughout the day, anywhere up to 40 dogs at any given time. As you can well imagine, there's a lot of noise. So we had to take into account the noise and reduce it as much as we could. So we put noise reduction panels in place. We also have a great heating and cooling system, not only for the animals, but obviously for us as attendants and humans, to make sure everything is regulated. And we also included recessed lighting as well in all rooms and locations throughout the building. One of the other things that we came across is the resources through CCRW. Believe it or not, that was really helpful for us to establish some guidelines and policies, such as our cleanliness and sanitization, which not only benefits the animals, but also definitely benefits, the humans when it comes to our ventilation system, making sure that all the bacteria is clean on a regular basis and all the allergens are gone, just to promote, again, that healthy, safe environment. And from day one, as a small company, we offered health and dental benefits, and we cover 50% of the costs. And 100% of all training costs are covered by the company. And we do have mandatory training that benefits not only the employees, but also our dogs as well, that everybody has to be first aid dog trained when they come into the facility as an employee. So those are some of the steps that we took to try to make everything inclusive and be very collaborative with our employees.
Thanks so much, Tim, and thanks for sharing part of your journey with us. I think, when you talk about, the impact that lived experience has on making workplaces accessible and inclusive, those stories are really important, but also, implementing, consulting with your staff too, and showing the benefits of that is really important. So thank you for sharing that with us. I'm going to circle back to you, Paul. You noted that UPP is 3.5 years young, I think were the words that you used. And so you're just, implementing some of these initiatives. What challenges did you face in implementing the initiatives that you spoke to? And how have you sort of come to overcome some of these challenges?
Yeah, that's a great question. And when you're a young organization, it's basically a white canvas, right? And a white canvas you can really explore the art of the possible. You can leapfrog peers and other organizations, but you still have to define what kind of employer do we want to be? What kind of space do we want to create? We started an organization, we were 100% virtual. We needed to find a space. found a space, but we quickly learned as we started to really define who we are as an organization that it's really just not meeting our needs. And so we were able to identify our future space, the space that we're in now, that meets a lot of the criteria when it comes to accommodating our employees with the various needs that they have. I think that was the big challenge, because we've been hiring so much, and we're saying we want to hire people in underrepresented groups, but do we really have an understanding of what they're looking for? And then do we actually offer that, right? And I think that was, you really need to kind of learn how to kind of take those baby steps in order to understand, how to get us from point A to point B. And I think that was the big challenge. People here are very ambitious to achieve and be, above average. And so there's a big pressure to look at that. But what happens is that it's a little bit of a flywheel effect, where you start to build some momentum behind it. You define practices, you try them out, you evolve them, and eventually you start to build a workforce that where it's, quite frankly, it's quite common now at UPP, where our employees have various needs in order to be effective in the job. And turns out performance is great too, and it's working for us, and we're really excited about building specific recruitment strategies. And that's where the partnership came with CCRW last year, where we needed to learn, and we needed to know, and we needed to access, we needed to have these conversations to find out what the needs are, and how we can and how we can kind of meet those needs. So it's a journey, and it continues to be a journey. And what's really nice is that our employee base is leaning into them, because our people leaders have to manage people that have various needs. So it's just part of the capability. So again, weaving it into the fabric of UPP is really, really important, and we're very intentional about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also sounds like building in that opportunity for knowledge exchange into the journey to sort of have a proactive approach rather than sort of let that momentum and excitement put you in a reactive state that you're constantly doing more, but that learning and growing is an asset to the journey, right? So thanks so much for sharing that. There's lots of learning within that for us to take away. Vanessa, back over to you. How has fostering an inclusive environment benefited your employees and the Low Entropy Foundation as a whole?
Yeah, thank you. I also want to thank Tim for sharing that story. And yeah, my heart goes out to you for overcoming those challenges. And kudos to you for taking something so devastating and turning it into something positive. So in a similar vein, that's what we did at Low Entropy. I 20 years ago was homeless, and I was addicted to crystal meth, and that was a way for me to cope with my disability, which I didn't know at the time, but I have ADHD and depression, which I later got diagnosed with in adulthood when I became clean and sober. So I started the Low Entropy Foundation as a way for people to feel accepted for who they are, regardless of what disabilities or labels they have. And so that was about 10 years ago. And just naturally, it started within a very inclusive environment. In fact, we started with sharing circles that we called conscious connections. And it was a safe space for people in the community to come together and have deep, meaningful conversations. And we could share topics such as like emotions, vulnerability, disabilities, relationships, all the things that are really close to our heart that we don't often create the space to discuss and talk about. So that was the foundation of which our organization, our charity grew. And before every meeting, we would always set the intention. We're here to create compassionate, loving space. There's no criticism, there's no judgment. All what we do here is we lift each other up, and we support each other, and we focus on all the positive qualities in one another. And if at any time we might have a critical thought or a judgment, we have compassion for ourselves for having that thought, and we simply transform that thought into one of love and grace for ourselves and for each other. And we still hold that intention to this day. Every week when we have our team meeting, we set the intention, and we create a space of love for one another. And it starts with ourselves, though. So that's our motto, is change starts within. When we can have love in our hearts for who we are and start accepting ourselves, and we can share that with each other. So creating an inclusive environment within our organization, it was the foundation. That was the starting point. And that's how everything has grown into such a beautiful space that has attracted so many amazing heart-centered individuals.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. What it's, it's that authentic foundation, and I think intention setting is so important to that inclusive environment, but then being able to experience those outcomes across the culture of organizations and businesses. So thanks so much for sharing that. Tim, coming back to you, and the work that you and your wife are doing over in New Brunswick, how have the steps that you spoke to earlier really influenced your business operations and the customer relations that you have in your business?
Yeah, great question, Megan, for sure. For us, it's been really, following our purpose, which is to inspire people, give back and spread love. And in order to do that, it's like having that open communication and collaboration. And it starts within our own establishment, if you will. So for us, it's very important to make sure that we provide the tools to our employees so they are set for success and can help us push this purpose forward. So one that was interesting about having an open communication and collaboration with our employees is one of our employees that has a disability came forward and said she needed to have a reduced work schedule. And she had to go, if you will, from full-time to part-time, and their part-time hours were from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Is what she requested. Now, some of my previous career lives will just say, it was very hard for the business, that they weren't bought in already to be inclusive, to even adapt to something like that request. And a lot of employees wouldn't bring it forward. I felt in a lot of different organizations that I worked with in the past, like I said, but for us, I felt that, and my wife as well, that this person felt very comfortable with us to even come and ask us this question. And for us, like you said, we really got to make sure that we provide those tools. So it was a no-brainer for us to make sure that you obviously support the employee, give her the flexible work schedule that she's requested as per her doctor's requirements. And basically what we did is we made right there on the spot a policy that all absences for doctor-related absences are fully paid by the company, and that we now have to make sure that the business can support those requests. So in that breadth, if you will, we made sure that all employees supported one another, including us owners, that now we got to make sure that somebody's going to be able to fill those slots, whether it be another employee or owner, and we made those necessary requirements. And one of our other employees that also has a disability, she from time to time has to get shots from the doctor. So she has to leave, get a shot. Depending on how her body reacts to the shot, she could be out for hours to days, possibly even weeks. So she brought this forward as well, and we made sure that, again, for her, we will make sure that we have coverage is basically the in line. So at the end of the day, the customer does not get impacted, and we are a supporting family, if you will, within the company. So yes, we're family-run business, but as employees, we're all family together, and we're all helping one another. And that could be I'm going in, I'm helping cover a shift. It doesn't matter, as long as we make sure that everybody feels supported and welcome with whatever we can do to help one another. Because they also help us through our disabilities as well. So it's all one for one, right? Everybody. Now, also, by knowing that prior to us doing this plan, the most important thing that we wanted to believe was that we wanted people to feel job secure and that they could feel open and wholeheartedly tell us about them. A lot of these things are personal conversations, but they have the support there. So this was a prime example to show that I believe our employees definitely, believe in us. They wholeheartedly are part of the team, and that we're there to support them. As far as the customers, we've had customers that have come in with and without disabilities, and they comment on how clean the place looks and how easy it is to get around. We've had people that have come in with wheelchair as well, and so they had no problem coming in and out of the establishment, felt very comfortable coming in. And we have anywhere from 20 to 30 dogs that could come in, and upwards of, like, say, 40 is our maximum. And we've had customers say, we have no idea that you even have dogs here. Like it doesn't even smell like you have dogs. So
Wow.
that to us is a great testament to us keeping right the health and cleanliness of the place.
Absolutely.
So anyway, our comments, have been really good from the customer perspective. The service and the guarantee with the other daycare, the things that we have going on in the daycare has just come back, told us that we're doing the right things. And one of the big ones that we've also done for our customer being the dogs is we utilize grooming. Our groomer is my wife, actually. She's our certified groomer. On Saturdays, there's no doggy daycare. And we open that up for dogs with disabilities. So any dogs that have a disability or have a need, again, we want to include them. So I am there on Saturdays as I'm doing a deep clean through through the establishment. I'm able to assist my wife. So if there's a dog that comes in that's disabled, that needs help being lifted into the bath or whatnot, and also where there's no other dogs, there's no distractions because one dog can obviously distract another dog. So we've taken that into account, so that helps. And we've actually had quite a few success stories of people coming to our grooming establishment specifically because of that situation.
Well, it sounds like a full circle of supporting for success, right? So supporting the
Right.
success of your employees, and they're supporting that supports the success of your business, but also supports the success of, your customer relations and the services that you're providing to the greater community, which all comes from, the communication and creating those relationships of trust. So that's a great journey that you shared with us, Tim. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
I'm going to pop back over to Paul with UPP to see, Paul, providing some examples on how, the initiatives that you have implemented have positively impacted the organization. So what positivity have you experienced over the last 3.5 years?
Yeah, for sure. And so I think, a lot of it has to do with the new space that we went into. So just having the right furniture, having optionality in terms of lighting, chairs, desks. We have a wellness room. And then secondary to that too is also just our benefits program. What's our benefits plan? What are the benefits offerings? And the only really way to design the right benefit options is to ask our people, and that's part of our Ask and Act strategy. Is we ask them, like, what do they need? What's important to you? What's going to matter, right? And to assess like what's being used within that plan. I think that's really key. Um, and then it's employee sentiments. We do employee engagement scores, and we ask people how they feel within the organization, and they've told us that they are extremely proud to work in the organization, and they feel that they can be their best selves at UPP. And so it creates a really positive culture, but there's a lot of different outputs as a result of once we invite people with various needs into the organization, which I'm really happy about, that an organization can move quickly to do that, and aren't too concerned. Like there's a cost sometimes to some things, but it's very much an investment worth taking, and that's again executive leadership setting the tone that that's a priority for them. We have a member business, kind of almost like a retail kind of mindset, where we want to make sure that we do have an organization that reflects the diversity of our members. Otherwise, how are we going to serve our members? We have a whole member portal that wants to ask us questions, and some people have different preferences. Maybe it's phone, maybe it's email, maybe it's come in, in person. So it really helps us to meet the needs of everyone, both internally and externally. So yeah, really proud to be able to share those examples.
Yeah, those are really great ones. And even, just how you describe the different modalities of interaction and meeting people sort of where they're at, but also for employees to experience the implementation of, their feedback, or experience them saying, this is what would benefit me, and see that come to fruition in, not only workplace culture, but the initiatives that are undertaken and the benefits that are there to benefit them. So those pieces are really important. And going to go back to Vanessa now. And Vanessa, you've shared a lot about the foundation and the positivity and what's really at the heart of Low Entropy Foundation. Can you share a little bit more and maybe perhaps share a success story that really highlights the impact of your disability inclusion efforts at Low Entropy?
Yeah, absolutely. I think our whole journey has been a success because of starting with that intention to create an inclusive space where people can come together and foster compassion and kindness towards each other. Um, because like that started as an idea, it was a seed, right? That was the intention, like, let's create this. And we had a group of people, like there was 10 of us that came together way back in 2015. We started our first group, and from there it organically continued to grow. Within the first year, we had 7 of those groups across 5 different cities, all volunteer led, people coming together because they wanted to create these safe spaces for one another to show up and be seen and be heard and be accepted for who they are. So fast forward to today, now we employ 15 staff. We have over 200 volunteers. We have many different initiatives and programs throughout British Columbia. One of them is our thrift store that we opened about a year and a half ago. And that does really well at creating a community hub for a lot of people who have disabilities come and they support each other, they work together. They also gain work experience, and we support them in their journey so that they can either stay on with us, go into a different retail space, or level up and go into a different career. When we first started the store, we had one particular volunteer who has disabilities, and she was coming in there. She was very nervous and didn't really know anybody. But after a few months of being in there, she felt very comfortable, started thriving. And a new participant came into the thrift store who was a youth who had disabilities. This particular individual is nonverbal and couldn't really do, she couldn't do cash because she didn't have the communication skills to be able to support customers. But the original volunteer that was there, she knew how to do cash, and she actually created a friendship with our nonverbal participant. And through them working together, our nonverbal participant can now do cash and support people because the two of them are doing it together. So they both feel so much fulfillment and joy out of doing that. And everybody loves seeing them when they come into the store. Yeah, it just creates so much joy within the store and has that ripple effect out into the community.
Yeah, and you talked a lot about creating those safe spaces, and it sounds as though that also create that opportunity for mentorship between these individuals, and that opportunity for upskilling that led to, I'm sure you experienced the increase in confidence and the other connections that were made and the impact that that had on the community or the customers that you were serving too in that store.
Absolutely. Yeah, we see them come in and they receive the benefits and then they go on to pay it forward and give to others. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's so it's a really like the full circle moment when you experience elements like that from the journey in terms of building the inclusive workspaces.
Mm-hmm.
And drawing on some of that story and storytelling, I think we'll go back to Tim. I know that you've got the personal connection to the work that you're doing. Can you share a little bit more or another personal story or lesson learned from this journey, Tim, that you've been on towards building disability confident workplace? I think you've started a few stories, so it'd be great to hear the continuation of that journey.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Megan. Yeah, there's definitely a personal story here that really hits home for us, for me personally, through the businesses, and this one's really with my wife. And when we opened up the business back in February of 2023, she still remained working at a career job. While I was standing it up with some employees, and we were doing our thing, and she'd come in on Saturday and kind of do the coffee thing and hang out, but it really wasn't her thing, if you will, at the time. But if you fast forward a few months, we were still, we will be grieving our journey for the rest of our life, if you will. So there's definitely the ebbs and flows that follow with that. And one of the things that started to happen for my wife, probably, we'll say 3 or 4 months into the business, is she just, hit the depression wall. and she really couldn't get out of bed. She couldn't find her purpose to get up and go into work. Where I guess I'd felt that prior to going, I needed to have something to get up for that was more than just, going in, do your job, collecting a paycheck, and had to have a purpose driven behind it. And I think, like I say, that kind of caught up with her. But for about 3 months, she struggled. She struggled to get out of bed. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, what are we going to do? Or, what do you do? Right. And this is all new territory, if you will. So at that point in time, she actually started coming around the business a little bit more and more. And she's like, you know what, maybe I should just come in and see what it's like. And I said, well, like it's your business. You can do what you want, but we're here. We have the animals, and if everybody kind of anybody has animals, kind of especially with dogs, they have that unconditional love, which definitely helps. And something that I've learned through this process that I didn't know going in, how much heal it helps us. And fast forward from August of last year to October, my wife ends up being getting certified in grooming and found her happy place, if you will. She left her career job. She works 6 out of 7 days a week at the store grooming. She's up at the store from 6:30 in the morning till 6:30 at night and loves every minute of it. She says she's finally found her happy place with work. And I think some of that does go hand in hand with obviously being around dogs, giving that unconditional love. I really, truly believe that. But at the end of the day, to have, if you will, my wife back is a blessing. So it's definitely, like I say, a personal story. And then we probably couldn't have done that if we didn't have all the other, inclusion and disability things there to support my wife to come in and make sure that we are supportive of her, like the rest of the employees that were already existing there, to train her, show her, how things go, where she got to a point where, she basically runs the place now from day to day. The other thing that we obviously learned too, throughout this journey was that we can't do it alone. We need to work together to help each other. And, that was through tools that we got, policies, um, assistance from outside organizations like CCRW that has been so instrumental in helping us and offering us many resources that I wasn't aware of, my other career jobs, if you will. And that we as employers can now take the steps that we need to take to make it fully inclusive the best that we can. And if we're not sure about something, we have other organizations we can reach out to, like I say, like CCRW, and make that positive impact on the employees that we want to do, and then provide an accessible and inclusive workplace for everybody, not only humans, but also pets. So that's a little bit, like I say, a personal story, and like I say, I guess a lesson learned, Megan, from us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, when as an owner and an operator, you experience that journey through, a different viewpoint when it's someone so closely connected to you, the impact that you can see that can have on, future or present employees as well as the community is huge, right? And the identification of the impact of, even transferable skills, upskilling and reskilling, and that connection to purpose is really important, in recognizing that everybody brings something to the table. It's just, finding the invitation that fits to ensure that that place is set for them. And it sounds like the journey that you've been on has really been a successful one. And you bring a lot of lived learned experience to that. And I think that's what we've heard today from the panel as well, from Vanessa and Paul. It's about, communication, trust, the recognition of some of those areas of importance, and understanding the benefit, right, of what we're doing and the impact on people. Right, what we're doing here is drawing a straight line towards people, and that's really important in inclusive, accessible, and welcoming workplaces that are attracting top talent, I will say, and impacting the communities in a really large way. And so I want to thank you for that formal part of our panel, and sharing those insights, initiatives, and stories with folks who are joining us here today.